Jolan True, everyone. Welcome back to Trekyards. He's Sub Commander Cockings.
He is Grand Admiral Foley. But his real name is just Ensign Foley. Because there's two names.
And today we're taking a trip to the Picard era to look at the Dhailkhina class Romulan cruiser. Now it's a Romulan ship, and as you said before we started filming, a Rom ship. So is it going to be a rom-com? Is it going to be laughable? Are we going to have lots of fun looking at this?
Well, fun will be had.
Well, fun is always had here. But or will it be a romantic drama? A rom drama? I don't even know if that's a thing.
I would not. So obviously, here's the ship in the show, right? Now, those of you that are saying, when was this? I don't blame you. Because you said the great, well, yes. You said the great name, but it's Admiral O's flagship. Admiral O, Commodore O. Commodore O, who's that? It's the villain of Picard Season 1, kind of. Again, you're scratching your head. It's the lady with the sunglasses. Oh! The sunglasses lady, who's a famous character actor from various sci-fis. And this is her flagship that appears at the end of Season 1. It appears, there's a little bit of pew-pew, and it leaves. And that's his legacy in Trek. Yes. Now, Johnny did design a lot of other stuff with this. There's obviously more scenes, like really beautiful concept art of the bridge and a whole big thing. But his time on the screen is not long, and nor does it make much of an impact, I think it's fair to say. What is, I guess I have verbatims of what I think. What do you remember of it, and how do you feel seeing this from the screen before we look at it in detail?
I remember it quite, not fondly, but I remember quite well because of the cut and paste fleet that it was facing. I always thought it was a pretty interesting and cool design and a good evolution of Romulan tech from the Trekyardians, and it just has that next generation look to it, like the next generation of ship design for the Romulans. I thought it looked cool. So I was kind of always a fan of it.
Yeah, this is such a hard one to judge because the case studies we have in this sort of framework are Trekyardians, which is a giant style over substance ship trying to look giant and make a statement, and it's iconic beyond belief, but it's a statement craft. The Valdor Nixon is much smaller. It's there to look sharp and stabby and pew-pew and be an attack ship. Entirely different style, right? Not even the same ballpark and yet the same fleet. This is neither of those things. Both looking neither of those things or purpose-wise. The other Romulan ship is a bit closer, the warship. The flagship, it has the Nixon wings kind of, but the middle bit is its own thing. If this were a brown ship, you wouldn't think Romulan. If it were a red ship, you wouldn't think Romulan. If it had a Federation colours, you'd think like Federation, not Starfleet. So, and even its colours are this muted coppery green. So it's a hard one to pin down, but then it's a Picard era flagship style Commodore O's personal ship that I don't think she got away from Starfleet very often, given that she was head of Starfleet in whatever command for 20 years, and therefore she probably doesn't get holidays to Romulus very often to know the best ship. So it might even be an old ship. She might just pick her old flagship from 30 years ago. There's so little context, and the bridge is so underwhelming, right? Like, whatever John's intentions were are kind of lost in its framing in the story. Would you agree?
I totally agree, 100%. Because her being that deeply entrenched into Starfleet, that's a whole other situation altogether. But it's interesting too, because from this view, it has a kind of a Cylon-esque look to it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Change those front windows to red, and it's got the kind of classic original Cylon design. So, yeah.
Not a million miles off, yeah. Like, it would look very sleek if it was scaled down to a fighter size. The other view, it's the only other view we got, which, in fairness, kind of interesting, right? Much more bird-like, has a bit of depth. But those are the two sort of views you'll ever see of the ship. Are you ready for some new Trekyards ones? Here it is! Game model, of course, not hero model.
Yeah, interesting color palette. It feels smaller than I think it's supposed to. Looking at this,
yeah, it does.
It's supposed to be a pretty massive ship. This feels more like a fighter of some sort.
Be a cool fighter.
It absolutely would be, yeah. And it's reminding me of something that I just can't place right now, and not Cylon, because this view kind of takes away the Cylonness of it. I like the design, I really do. I think it's a lot of hard edges. Those wings sweeping forward is very aggressive looking. Like it's a very cool design. It doesn't feel like a big, massive capital ship. It feels much smaller here. So
There is some window detailing,
a
but
little bit. It's
okay.
like one row of windows. It's like that could be anything. Even on a smaller ship, it'd just be like greebly details or whatever.
Yeah, I like the basic shape, but it kind of feels like a basic shape was drawn. Do you know what I mean? Like the hard edge is very much like we've got 6 hours. We have to do a bird with wings. Let me draw some sort of varied angles so that it has a sort of vibe, but and then sort of passed it forward without that. Like doesn't speak Romlan to me. Doesn't feel like any of the other Romlan designs. It's just a very vanilla ship to me, without really doing much unique. And you'd want like even the other one, like I said, the one from has more of a unique feeling. This it's bigger, it's bulkier, it's a capital ship. Maybe they're past aggression, past war, so therefore they don't feel like warships. But this doesn't feel like a warship to me, like a proper like. Which in fairness might just be a big cruiser, designed for just taking people places. In fairness, but I don't know, it doesn't have that Romulan aggressive feel that most Romulan, even like the scout ships, kind of have something. This is just doesn't have that. Probably being too harsh, but
It doesn't have the intimidation factor of a Derridex. Like it feels like it's not meant to. Like you said, it's more of a going between ports kind of ship, not really the head of a battle fleet kind of ship.
yep.
They kind of lost their aggressive look a little bit.
And these aren't necessarily problems, but if it's meant to fit into that evolutionary vibe, it for me it misses that mark. But next to it is the back,
Which could be the front.
which could be the front. The shapes just kind of lose me in the design. It's all just kind of pointy edges and.
It feels like a pterodactyl. Looks like a pterodactyl from this view. Like it really does. It could fly this way. This could be the front, and it'd be fine. Also, like something out of G-Force or Battle of the Planets as well, with those wings and that shape. Like, I mean, you got engines. That's a thing.
Very TOS small diddly ones. And there are little little green lights everywhere on the back. I mean, if it's as big as it implies, certainly it could be disruptors. But there's just sort of nothing going on except panel lines. Even the sort of greebly panel bits, they feel placeholder, right? There's nothing really happening. Like, it would have been nice to have seen. I mean, I then repeating designs, but there's such deliberacy on all the Derodex's top design choices. It's so, I mean, Andrew Pro's incredible with that sort of stuff. Like, just bring the escape pods back, bring the, like, those things would have really brought the top together, but it's missing every single one of those things.
And see, I don't think it's as big as it looks either. Like, it looks quite intimidating and large, but you look at those wings, and it's like, how much internal volume is in there? There's not like there's corridors in there or anything. What are the wings there for? Just intimidation factor? Because relatively, well, let's see other views, but the thickness of them doesn't really correlate to having anything in there, especially like crew-wise. It's just the center section. Which we can't get a good feel for size-wise. I mean, yes, there's one row of windows, but that implies it's not a very large ship, honestly. It's big for the sake of being big, and it's not really. I mean, so was the Derridex, kind of, the way they spaced everything out. There's a lot of internal volume still, but they made it look a lot beefier than it was. That's kind of what's going on here a little bit.
And it doesn't have Romlan from this angle either.
No, it absolutely does not.
I mean, it could absolutely be a one-off on Voyager, as is. Right? Don't even change anything. Next view, though, front, bottom. I don't necessarily mind the front-facing blades that kind of hide, but there's literally a Star Wars TIE fighter that has the exact design language, and it works a lot better than this. I don't see a practical reason for it. It's not as if... And there was a Discovery ship for Klingons where there was actually hidden details being hidden by the plating that we only saw in these episodes. If there'd been like layers of torpedo launchers, in that, and they're being hidden, fine, but there's just nothing going on anywhere. What do you think those are doing except aesthetics?
Yeah, this feels like aesthetics over functionality. It really does, because again, you got a few windows at the front. You got the really massive windows at the front as well. And you look at the rest of that center section, And again, it feels like there's way less internal volume than it looks like at first glance, just because of the way it's kind of stepped. And then there's no windows. There's no windows to indicate scale along the length of the secondary or the main hull there.
And it's interesting because one thing Static Line does do is windows. It's a cheap, easy, quick details. I would be fine to trust that they've actually replicated the window arrangement as is in the show, versus, because that is the quickest, easiest, cheapest thing for them to do. For the saying as no windows. Is there a function for no windows? Maybe, but
yeah, this is a weird one because I really like the design, but the more you think about it and the more you kind of get into it, it's like a lot of whys come up. Because again, look at those wings. There can be nothing in those. It's just a big target now, essentially, unless there's a purpose for them. But
I mean, at least the Valdor has the warp engines on them, and I believe
exactly.
2 rings of warp engines.
Speaking of, where are the nacelles?
I mean, Romans, do you have nacelles on every single ship? Except Picard? I mean, I've never once thought about it until now, but guys, you forgot to give it engines. And you can, of course, have internal, because most, like, random ships in Voyager and Enterprise have, like, warp nacelles. But they've always had nacelles, and there's obviously, the wings do this. There's obviously a flat line, you could have the nacelle. It's right there. And it would be the logical placement, and it could be a really nice design. I don't know. But yeah, I didn't even think about it. Yeah, it's just... And you can't have a wing that's a nacelle. There ain't room for coils and all that tech. It doesn't work that way, sorry. Would it have been interesting if those forward progressing things had like a... Because they do also have Bassards, right? They do contain, for the most part, a lot of those things you recognise. If they had like a line of Bassard front grill, and below them was like a nacelle which on the was under the wing, the entire length of the hull, kind of filled in that space with the glows and such.
Yeah, that would have made more sense technically. I think... Yeah, I think you could still incorporate it to look really slick and sinister looking with that. So yes, is the answer. I almost said no, it's not needed and it would bulk it out too much, but as I started talking I realized that I'm an idiot. So
oh well. It's a weird one. But yeah. back view. You get to see
bottom view.
There you go. You get to kind of see the feathering plumage, which I kind of like. Many glows at the back, which are all tiny relative to the size of the ship.
Definitely feels like a bird. Feels like a bird swooping down, and that's what Romulans do. So cool, that works.
But everything's so thin.
Exactly.
It doesn't feel aggressive. And if you said as a fighter, then you would really get the sense of it's the wings are the thing to help you in atmosphere to cut through whatever, and the bottom bit's the actual hull, the living module, but there's just a lack of stuff.
And again, no windows, so it's very hard to judge scale here. And I would say if you showed me this picture, I'd be like, that's a fighter. That's pretty cool. That's a very cool small fighter design. Awesome. A lot of impulse engines.
And also green things, which I guess are implied to be the warp engines or shoved in the back.
Possibly. That's the other thing. Where is the shuttle bay? Is there a shuttle bay on this? I think most ships should have a shuttle bay. It just makes sense.
Especially if it's not a warship, because it does not give me any warship vibes. Then having different purposes, a yacht almost, which Romlan yacht, make it a bit more green. I could kind of buy it, but
it could be a command ship, and that makes sense with O being on it. Fleet command ship. Not really designed to get into a tangle because it's got a fleet. And it orders the fleet to do things. I get it. And this is fast, maybe. This is maybe, because it looks fast. I don't know.
But is that very Romlan to design a non-war ship that's a fleet ship?
Well, they're all about stealth and stuff. So if this thing can cloak, I mean...
They can all cloak, surely.
Sure.
All right. Are you ready for the hammer of the orthographics to fall in? Top and bottom.
All right. So it feels like it should be flying the other way. It should, the back should be the front. And there's even a brownish detail between those two spires at the back that looks like a cockpit. So it's a perfect fighter right there. But going the other way, it's a really cool design. I like the shapes. I like the aggressiveness of it. But I'm getting like Dinobot swoop vibes. Like it's a robot pterodactyl. It's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think you know what you're saying, but I think I want to change one word in your last statement. I don't think you think it's a really good design. I think you think it's a really good set of shapes.
Yes, it's not a
Because
good ship design per se, but it's a really attractive looking ship.
yeah, because there is so little design work going on here, function and details. Like there's no design happening, but the shape is solid.
Yes. There's no functionality incorporated into it, I think is how it was drawn. It's drawn and it looks really cool and it's like, yeah, I like that shape, make that a ship. But then you get to the functionality aspect of it and it's like, where's the nacelles? Where's the shuttle bay?
Yeah, and actually that might be what happened. John, we know the end of Picard was rushed, although Commodore was always there, we think. They needed a Romlan ship, and maybe the CG artists, and we know Picard, they didn't really detail ships very highly, or at least not with any sort of Star Trek logic. Maybe John gave them these sketches, and the artists just took that to build the sketches, and then what do you do in times of don't know? Just plates. Generic plates that do nothing. This is missing the Trek pass, which John might have either not had time to do or assumed they would do. Because there's nothing of that happening. So shape-wise, it's really cool. It's a really nice, like, balanced shape, actually.
Well, considering this was facing off against the cut and paste fleet, not having time seems to make sense. So,
yeah. It's a weird one. It's a really, really weird one. And its scale is not at all seeable in the design.
yeah, the scales are hard to determine for sure.
All right. The next views is interesting.
Again,
And I just had it, 0 and then swap 90. This is not me. This is how it came. I could probably flatten it, but that's not how it came. So this is the 90 degreenness of the ship.
Yep.
Is how it came.
This is a fighter. This would make a beautiful fighter. Every aspect of it, like an in-atmosphere or space fighter. It just has really good shapes for that. The front view looks like it's smiling with those windows. Looks like teeth and there's like eyes up there and a big nose. It looks actually kind of cool. Again, it looks cool. I like looking at it. It's a very pretty ship. But
Despite itself.
yeah.
Like, I conceptually like the fact the ship is literally doing that. It's like it, but it also gives it a disbalanced feel. It's almost as if it's begging for the Derelict style two hulls, not literally two hulls, but like another one to feed down, connect, and kind of give it a dual wing formation, and almost as if the flatness of the end tips could lead to another wing hull and the wing. Like you could Deredex this up to kind of fix this design, make it more of a this logical.
Well, this design does something that we say with a lot of ship designs. It makes it look fast standing still. Looks like
Real fast.
Doing that, right? I mean, it achieves that at least. This is a weird one for me because I really like this design. I want a model of the ship because it's really
It exists.
nice.
You can buy it. And considering this is also meant to be the new top end flagship of the Romulan Armada in the Picard era, I don't think that's achieved at all. The Nerix of the Valdores feels like the most cutting edge warship of the era. This doesn't fit the bill that it's trying to present. But then let's look at some other random views.
Yeah, and it's one of those things we say, if you're in a shuttlecraft and it comes up like this, does this look intimidating? Yes, kind of, a little bit, with the wingtips, but at the same time, it just has a face.
Well, yeah, I think
it's like a xenomorph.
Well, yeah. For me, I say no because the shapes it's a beautifully curved front zone which follows through, which is not an aggressive shape, and the wings kind of have just an attached feel, but they're kind of thin and versus it's not doing the connective shapes. If the bottom bit had like feeding hull into the wings and those had guns and glows and reconnected in with bulk, then you have this big feel grr, but it's so different set of shapes that it doesn't gives you more, not literally, but like I'm picturing when I see this, the planes that can land on water, and it's just got those bottom holes and it's connected to the plane. Like they're just so different design shapes for me. That's where I go from that.
And also, where are the weapons? Where's the intimidation factor? Like, are they the green glows? Because I could see disruptors being in those front forks. That's fine, but then they're everywhere as well. It's like,
but the back view though, much nicer view, I think, because now all the shapes are kind of cohesive with the pointy angliness. And in fact, there is kind of a bridge module at the back, the little line of white, not literally, but it kind of is. This feels more consistent to me in design, although I do think it's missing a bulk at the back to it. If this were the front view of the engines of something, it would need to extend at the back to give it some more oomph. But a more pleasing view, I would say, shape-wise.
And again, it looks like the front. It looks like it's coming at us. You can see where a cockpit would be. It's just a fighter. I keep saying that, but it's just all my brain keeps thinking. And even weapons, like those impulse engines could be like guns, right?
Next view, though, is kind of what we associate with it. That top view. It's definitely a bird and a plane, but I don't think it's super.
Man.
Do you like it more or less than you did when we started?
More design-wise, less Romulan-wise, if that makes any sense, which of course it does because I said it. Yeah, something about it I really absolutely just love, but I just don't see it as a Romulan ship, especially a capital ship like a large one. I don't buy it, but I really like the design. I like the shapes. I like the way it looks. I love the aggressiveness of it for a fighter.
And I do think it 25% different, and you could really improve the Romulan in this. Or maybe 24. Change the hull to all green. Give it the rather than just random panel lines which don't do anything. Unfortunately, they don't feel like bird wings. They don't do anything. They just are detail for sake of detail. Give it an Ericsson, give it a Deredeck style feathering pattern. Give some varied colors. Like you could really take the base concept of this design and make it far more effective. But you'd need to kind of start from the shape, ground up, and then redo it because it does need all the details have to change. I think on this one, and it never came back. And I do not necessarily think it needs to come back without a bit of a change. But it ain't bad. It just ain't what it's trying to be.
Yeah, it is a very cool design, but just an odd one for me. So anyway, those are our thoughts, guys. Put in the comments section what you guys are thinking. We love reading them. Our audience loves reading them. What do you think of this design? Because I'm very, very curious now after having had this whole discussion. And be sure to make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and you click the notification bell icon to all so you don't miss any lives we do or edited content. We do a lot of stuff and we want to hang out with you guys during those lives. So please come and join us and help us out if you're able to.
And if you just want to support what we do here all the darn time, bringing all the ships from all the Trek, all the time, and comparisons, and analysis, etc., etc., then join those lives and super chat your thoughts, comments, questions, or just a hello. All those things we absolutely love being part of the conversation and supporting what we do to let us do it all the time and, diversify and it's cool, it's fun, and we love ships. Or Patreon if you can, it's monthly, or join the channel on YouTube, also monthly, or one-time donation at PayPal, trekyards@hotmail.com, or buy a shirt, the link down below, or super thanks on any video. A lot of great ways for a little bit of support, which all does go a long way.
That's right. So until next time, he is still Sub-Commander Cockings.
And he is both the highest and lowest rank, depending if you are part of his family, or part of the Senate, or random go-getter on the street. Foley.
Never mind. We'll just
Secret Stuart, we can't...
I know.
Secret's cloaked.
Yep. Until next time. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.